I'm DeJuan Johnson. Welcome to the Think Bigger Actors podcast, where I share with you different kinds of talks and coachings and conversations with actors and industry professionals on thinking bigger. I hope these conversations will help you on your path to success, because I believe success is an inside job that starts with your mindset and the thoughts you hold dominant in your mind. Change your thoughts and you change your world. Your path to thinking bigger begins now. Welcome back to the Think Bigger Actors podcast. Hi, it's me. Hi, I'm the host. It's me. I'm DeJuan Johnson, and I am here, and I'm so excited. And that was a little Taylor Swift. I don't even listen to all of Taylor Swift. I just know her like most popular stuff because it comes on and all that stuff like that. And I kind of like that one. I feel like that's an older one. I'm an album or two behind, but anyway, I've said more about Taylor Swift than I know, so I'm gonna stop before like the Swifties get me, and just welcome you back to this episode. I'm super excited because we have a great episode for you today as usual. But can I just stop for a second and say a quick thank you to you, my freaking listeners out there, because I know I ask, to hear from you every week, but boy, oh boy, you all have been like really showing up and showing out, tagging me on Instagram, resharing on Twitter since I refuse to call it X. I wonder if that's like a generational thing. Like, are all the younger generations already calling it X and we're just holding on and still calling it Twitter? And, I read this study the other day that the older generation is still using GIFs or GIFs, to send, but like the younger ones are like, please stop sending those right now. But I don't know. So I'm going to still call it Twitter right now. And I'm going to say thank you for retweeting on Twitter. I just really appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for, because it's like I ask for it, and I'm saying, hey, let me know what you think of these episodes. And I had, Alex, who reached out to me and said, I don't know how I feel about this, this last person you had on. And I was just like, I thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for, keeping me just honest. I try to get people on the guests on the podcast, not just that I only agree with, but just that have a different opinion or a different view of the industry, so that we can also expand and evolve. I want to make sure that's also happening. And so I thank you for continuing to do that. Thank you for continuing to show up in my DMs and on, like I said, on the TikTok and all that stuff. And how about for those that have already bought early bird tickets to the Think Bigger Actors Retreat? Y'all, like I said, y'all are showing out. I mentioned it in the last episode, and I'm just so grateful. I'm just so humbled and grateful. I get to show up this way for you, my tribe, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you here in Los Angeles. And if you haven't gotten your tickets, for the Think Bigger Actors Retreat, you can snag them at www.thinkbiggeractorsretreat.com. I'm getting ready to announce the detailed schedule of events. You don't want to be on the other side of that. You don't want to be on the other side of that and missing tickets, because it really, really, really is. It's not a sales gimmick. It's not, something I'm just saying, but tickets are extremely limited. And so if you've ever wanted to be on the, this side of it, and get a ticket, you're going to want to grab it early, because I kept it small for a reason, because I wanted it to be intimate. It's a retreat, right? There's two different types of retreat. There's a working retreat, and there's like retreat where you go do yoga and stuff like that. This is a working retreat. We're going to get some stuff done. We're also going to have a little bit of relaxing time, but we're going to also get some stuff done. And so I'm gonna have a little bit of fun. So yeah, thank you so very much. And every now and then I get to bring on some of my fellow coaches who help make this world a better place for actors. And today I have Jodie Bentley, another career coach for actors, and she works on mindset too, just like I do. And I love talking to other coaches and people, period, about mindset. And so we actually recorded this episode last season during the strike. But as you know, I stopped production during the strike in solidarity with our union. But I went back and I listened to this episode episode, and I thought, nope. We gotta drop this. It's so good. We gotta drop it. It's so incredibly spot on, and I think, I think Jodie's one of these masters, these like Jedi, masters at branding and talking about it, and she just has such great stuff to talk about it. And so, I got her to really get in there and break it down for us one more freaking time, because she's so great at, all of that. So that I had to have her back on. I had to have it, and I had to drop this episode, because I think brand, and you've heard me say this before. I think brand and type are under attack right now in our industry. And I think there are a lot of coaches or teachers or people or reps or whatever on the internet streets, and they are attacking these as buzzwords. Here's the problem with that. I understand that, and I think they're onto something in their own right, but they're not actors also. And actors are really taking that, I don't need to know my brand, I don't need to know my type, and it's screwing them, and it's screwing you, and it's screwing us. And so I wanted to make sure I had one of the leading experts on here, Jodie Bentley, to talk more about branding and mindset and all that stuff like that. And she breaks it down. And Jodie and I get into all of it and so much more in this talk. And I'm gonna also bring it all together in the D12 shot, because that's what I do. So make sure you stick around for the end of Jodie Bentley's talk with me, and we will dive into it together. Hey, Jodie Bentley, how are you?
I'm good.
I don't know if we're laughing because we are giddy about, we're we're recording this right when the strike news has just come out.
It just came out 2 hours ago.
2 hours ago. So if we're just crazy or if we're just happy to see each other, I don't know. But
both. It's both.
It is really both here. So we're going to get into all of the strike news and all that stuff in just a second here. But I just want to say first off, thank you so much for coming in and dropping in the Think Bigger Actors podcast. I appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thanks so much for having me. I love what you do and the energy and your tribe and everything. So it's such an honor to be here with you.
Well, let's start off. Speaking of, I always have some icebreaker questions that are lightning round. We start with in the beginning. I don't tell them. None of my guests have these questions at first. And so, I just want to see what you think. Okay. Number one, what's your favorite role you've ever played?
Oh God.
I know, right, y'all? This is
God, oh God. All right, two things popped into mind, but I'm going to go back to my theater days. One of my favorite roles in theater was playing the title role of Sylvia in the A.R. Gurney play Sylvia. It was actually, he does a lot of gender bending and in his writing, and I got to play a dog. The role of Sylvia is a dog, so I got to play a dog, and it was
play a dog.
Awesome.
That's good. You know what? I can go back to some of my theater days too. I loved what I did on Grey's Anatomy, but I love and I want to revisit Hamlet. I played Hamlet, and doesn't that, yeah. All right, here's another one for you. What's your dream role, or what are you dying to play?
My dream role, I love playing myopic and obsessed women to the extreme. And I really would love to play a detective in a primetime drama. I would love that.
Yeah. So in the best possible way, listeners, I'm asking this question. And if it's a stupid one, the way I'm going to phrase it, please give me a little grace here. But they always say this about guy detectives, like somebody with like a dog with a bone. You know what I mean? Relentless. I don't want to. I'm trying to be careful here, right? I don't want. Yeah. Was that what you mean? You just really.
She gets really, I like characters that get really myopic, right? And so so usually they have a lot of trauma and pain that they're covering because they need to do something else, whether they're searching for truth or revenge or justice or something. So kind of like a dog with a bone, but I just think she has to do this. You know?
Yeah. Who hurt you? Because you're like, I'm getting in there. I'm like, who are you? All I heard was revenge, y'all. And, and I was like, wait a minute. I thought from your Instagram stories, you're happily married. And
I am. It's all good. It's all good.
Right. We're just checking in. Okay. Oh, and here's the last one here. Why'd you become an actor?
Oh, because it was healing
Mm,
in the
yeah.
beginning. That was why. I was
Mm,
seen and heard, and it was
yeah.
healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting. I get up on stages and I talk about this in keynotes. And if you had asked me years ago why I became an actor, it was because of that, to escape. It was because of the trauma that I had at home when I was a little boy,
Yeah.
all of those things. But if you ask me now, I've changed that story. So it was
Mm.
healing, but a lot of us don't go back to it and we stay in that block of,
Sure.
of this is healing. And
Yeah.
then I don't know what your take is on that, but I think that's when we get a little bit locked into only seeking validation
Oh, sure.
in
Oh,
our
sure.
work. And we're like, pick me,
Right.
choose me, love
Love me,
me.
love me. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's not that now, but that was what I think drew me to it. Right. But now I think there's such power in art, and I think there's power to heal other people. And I just love being a storyteller and wanting to put stories out in the world that really, I mean, this is such a generic term, but that raise human consciousness, right? That make people have conversations and talk and change.
I don't think it's a term that's generic. I also don't think it's a term that's used enough anymore. I
Okay.
think I think it's on its way back in because we don't. Well, I think a lot of the talk in the world today is that human consciousness has gone down.
Yeah. Sure.
We're gonna
Sure.
we won't get into that, but it has
Yeah.
gone down.
Yeah.
So I love that you passed. How do you feel? How do you feel? You got the icebreaker questions.
I
You
feel
passed.
good.
I mean, you all, if you're watching this on YouTube, you could see that Jodie started sweating as soon
I
as I
did.
was
I was
like,
like, oh no, what are you gonna ask? I'm like, I like pizza. Pizza's my favorite food. What else? What is it?
"What have you heard?" But also randomly, we don't have to say the location or anything like that. How's your new house?
Oh, it's awesome. I'm loving it. We're having a blast. Yeah.
Yeah,
Loving
it
my
look-
new office digs, and yeah, it's
yeah.
it's great.
Well, again, if you're looking at this on YouTube, there's a box behind you back there, and I feel like I keep up with you because I saw you building it. And tell everybody what that is.
It's a voiceover booth. It's
Yeah,
a voiceover booth.
like a
So
standalone though. Like you put it.
yeah, it's a 4x4 booth. I mean, I had someone, I bought it and they put it together and came here and did that. But yeah, it's a 4x4 booth, so it's tiny, but it's great. It's
Yeah,
really great. Yeah.
that's all
So
you need though, right?
yeah, that's all you need. You don't
Yeah,
have to need a huge thing. And I'm
we'll
only
get
5'2", so it's okay.
Jodie. Have we ever met in person?
I don't think so.
Oh my
Only
God.
online. Only online. Isn't that
Only
crazy?
online?
Hmm.
Oh, that's really, really weird that social media makes you think, or online makes you think
Yeah.
that. I was like, we've met. Obviously we've
No,
met, but we have not. We got to
not
rectify
yet.
that.
Yes.
We'll talk offline because I
Okay.
think we might live a little closer to each other than we probably think. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So, at the top of the hour, we were talking about the strike. I remember back in 2008 when the writers went on
Yeah.
strike, and I was out there. So it's not a trend for me. It is very, very, very important.
Yeah.
If we want to really, and I'm sure you hear this a lot as a coach. We hear this a lot from all of our actors out there. I want to make my living as an actor.
Yes. Yes.
And if that is not just a statement to you, if that is more than a statement and something you really truly believe, this is that moment.
Yes.
This is
Hands
that
down.
moment.
Hands down.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
become harder and harder to make a living, as you know.
yeah.
We both
Yeah.
have other businesses that we run outside of acting. I multiple streams of income is definitely where it's at, and I have my coach my clients on having other streams of income. But of
Mhm.
course, we want to make the majority of our money from acting, but it's just gotten harder and harder.
Yes, it absolutely has. And, speaking of different like verticals or different like streams of income and revenue, like you have a lot. Like you do. And and it is funny. I've been trying for the life of me to get to make a t-shirt that says, this is one of my t-shirts, see you on set.
Yes.
But I've been trying to get a t-shirt that says actorpreneur, right?
Yeah.
Actorpreneur.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you are the epitome of an actorpreneur.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I don't know, like you laugh, but I wonder because I know back in the day when probably we started as actors and such, that was poo-pooed on, right?
Oh, most definitely. If you weren't
Right.
100% an actor, you weren't serious. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's toxic,
Oh,
right? I think
completely.
it's, yeah. And it's like, oh, if you can't do this, if you could do anything else, go do something else. And so you have, I mean, actor, producer, and audiobooks. I totally forgot that you did audiobooks. And I was like, you all, I'm so sometimes I can be a little dense. Dewan can. There was an audio book, and it was like books by Jodie Bentley, who the audiobooks you did, and it was
Oh,
another person on the cover. Like it wasn't your book because your
oh.
audio book. And I was like, oh, it must be a different Jodie Bentley.
No, the narrator doesn't get to be on the cover of a book. Nope. That's
So
very
tell me about these, actor, producer, audiobooks. Like, are you drawn to being a producer? Are you drawn to doing audiobooks? Or is that just different streams of income?
yeah. Um, I started doing audiobooks only when I moved to LA. I wasn't doing that in New York. So I started doing audiobooks in 2013. And I love it. I
Yeah.
loved it. I get to tell a story. I get to tell a story. I get to create characters and I have voices and I get to tell a story. And so for me, it is just an additional stream of income. I don't actively audition for audiobooks now. Finishing up a 6-book series. I have authors come back to me and I have some, publishing companies that reach out for me to narrate stuff. So I don't actively pursue it, but I'll do about like 6, 8 books a year. And I love it. It's just a little extra income stream, keeps me busy and keeps me creative in some of the downtime. So
Yeah.
very grateful to have a book right now that I'm working on since,
Yeah.
and have another one lined up because, that's where I'll be. I'll be in that booth for a while is where I will be.
I've always been scared of that. Like, I guess I've never admitted this out loud, you all. Oh, gosh, my podcast, I tell you, get me on here and I just start like vomiting stuff but I think you got to be honest with the people, who are
Oh,
listening.
totally.
But
Totally.
I admitted that I have never really wanted to step into the audiobook world because one, I was afraid of messing up, and like if I
Sure.
say, what am I generating? Like I just said that, what is my generating activity? And I'm like, oh gosh, I messed that up. Or if my cadence was off. And so whatever it is, I just
Yeah.
was afraid to mess up. And I talk, I don't talk so good. You know what I mean?
Oh, stop it.
But that's what the thing that's playing in my head, right?
Got it. Yeah. Well, let's talk about your limiting
Oh
belief.
my God. No, no,
Let's
no, no, no.
reframe that. Think bigger, Jawan. Think
It
big.
is. No, it's so interesting. That's you all. That's why I don't have coaches on my podcast, because you say some stuff.
I'm
They
kidding.
hear the thing behind the thing and they know exactly what to do with it and stuff. And so, no, it's absolutely a limiting belief that, I have not even explored because I have other things going. But as I'm sitting here,
Yeah.
this is it. I'll tell you this. I did a voiceover for Wells Fargo
Oh, nice.
years ago. I booked it. I was in the voiceover world. I
Yeah.
booked it and I got to set, and the clients were there,
Yeah.
and they kept saying I was saying Wells Fargo instead of Wells Fargo. Does that sound? I know. Can you hear? And I was like, I couldn't. I was like, they were like, no, we need you. You're saying Wells Fargo, and it's Wells Fargo. And I was like, what is happening? But it's a little. I mean, I'm sure you can hear that. And so I was not very secure in myself as an actor, as a person, and all I heard was negative. And so
Yeah.
I ran from that voiceover world and that $230. I was like, I don't need this,
Right. Right.
because I was like, all I heard was, you're not doing this right, or you're not doing it. So my hat goes off to you and the audiobook world.
Oh, thanks.
But what about being a
I
producer?
screw up all the time. You
Do
only
you?
talk for a good like minute or 2 minutes, and then you mess up. It's just human nature. Then you stop and you start again. Or
Really?
or your mouth makes funky sounds. I call it like little mouth farts happen or things like that because you're just your mouth gets dry and stuff happens. But I'm listening to a Viola Davis's audiobook right now, Finding Me. I don't know if you've listened to it, but oh my God, it's incredible. And
Yeah.
I mean, this was done by a big publishing company, and And I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh, there was a little in her voice there. There was a little, oh, a little sound, a little mouth fart. I call them mouth farts. A little
Yeah.
this, little that. And all those are in there because we all do them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So yeah, you don't
It's
have to
important to
narrate
hear.
the whole book for 5 hours. That would be insane.
That's important to hear. And I'm glad you brought that up. Like, it's okay to mess up in those things.
Yeah.
Viola does it, or I'm sure Brad does it. I'm saying them, their first names, like we are like,
I know. Lunch buddies, you know.
we go out there and do it. And how did you get into producing?
I started producing right when I was leaving New York and coming to LA. And I started producing because a friend of mine went, hey, produce this. And I was like, why? And they're like, well, you can play the lead role in it. It was a short film. But I think you're a natural born producer. I was like, I'll try it. And we ended up raising about like $40,000 on crowdfunding, flew out to LA, shot it out here even before I lived here. And I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
Idea of producing. I think every producer says that at the beginning. And I just learned as I went. So I am very good at producing, and I produced about 3 or 4 projects, and then realized. Then people started coming to me going, "Oh, can I hire you to produce my project?" And I was like, "Wait, hold time out. Just because I'm good at it doesn't mean I have to do it." But I do want to produce my own work, right? So I've kind of taken a little bit of a step back from producing, but I am writing a screenplay now.
Yeah.
It was a pilot, but now it's turned into a screenplay. We're about 80 pages in, but that will be something I produce. And I have a couple features that I love that I am producing as well, that I also have a role in. So I'm looking for projects that are like, no, are these stories that raise human consciousness? Are these stories that I want to tell and put out in the world? And if so, how can I lend my actor voice as well as my producer hat?
Yeah.
To it? So now I've kind of just, narrowed the focus a little bit.
Yeah. I hated producing. I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it. It was one of those things that, like you just said, I was good at because I'm type A and I bring all that stuff.
Right.
But for me, I didn't see the creativity in it. And it was just too business for me for it. But I think the way you're making it sound is you can be creative with it as well.
Yeah, well, I'm more of the development side of the producing. So I'm putting together the pitch decks. I'm trying to connect the people. I'm trying to find some of the money, and I like that stuff. It's a puzzle piece. So I don't really want to be the on-set producer. I want to be the creative producer, development producer.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think there is a congratulations on 10 years out here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that I
was taking a sip of my iced tea when you said that, and I made a funny sound.
A mouth fart. Mouth fart.
Exactly.
Yes, but that's right.
Yes, 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. Yeah. I can't believe where the time has gone. But yeah, really, really grateful to have been out here for 10 years and all the experiences that I've had through the pandemic, through everything, right? It's been a wild journey, and I'm feeling really grateful. Really grateful.
Yeah. Well, not to alienate any of our listeners that are out there, but New York or LA?
Damn it, Duan. Okay, I'm gonna say LA. Sorry, but I literally, my husband and I just took a trip back to New York a few weeks ago, and I hadn't been back since, I want to say 2015. And I lived in New York City for 20 years. I was there a long time, for college and everything. And I had been back, and we woke up the next morning and we decided to stay in Times Square because, I feel like New York is still my home, but I wanted to feel like a tourist in my home. So we stayed in Times Square, and we walked out on the street that morning, and I just stopped and I went, and my husband said, "Why are you smelling Times Square?" And I was like, "No, babe, it's the energy. It's the energy. Like, there's nothing like the energy of New York." And I felt like this little switch flipped on inside me when I was there. And I felt like it was this little bit of mojo that I lost. And I feel like it came back when I was there. So I think my soul is in New York, but my lifestyle is in Los Angeles.
Yeah. Let's pull that apart for a second. What do you mean there's a little mojo you lost? What is the mojo?
Ooh, well, it might, I was trying to describe it to a friend of mine as well. It just felt like all of a sudden, my shoulders were back further, and there was just this thing of yeah, I own these streets. I know these streets. like because I lived there for so long. But I also feel like there's like almost like battle scars because in New York, it's like, to audition, all the auditions were in the Times Square area. So like the Actors Equity Building is there. And so to go to auditions, you're like battling every day with your bag and your big book of music and walking through and battling the tourists and battling for space. And I just felt like, oh, that kicked in of like, I have to like claim my space here. Where I feel like in LA, it's like, well, no, this is my space and I belong. And it's a little more ease there. But there was something about that energy though that I was like, ooh, that fire I could still use. And it left for a while. So I
Yeah.
was glad to tap into that fire again.
I just wondered, it sounded almost like New York was your hustle time, right? Like your
Oh
hustle zone.
yeah.
And then it felt like LA was your embodiment. Like you just like
Ooh, that's lovely. I'll take that. Yes.
so I was like, you were like, I just missed a little bit of that hustle. And I'm like, but it sounds like you're really stepping into your own, like, I mean, here. And so I'm just gonna say it. New York freaked me out. There was like 2 a.m. It was like 2 a.m. at night. We were coming back from a bar or something like that. And it was like a walking traffic jam. There were so many people out like walking and
Right.
on the subway. And I was like, why do you people not have homes? But everybody
Oh my
transit, they take the transit there or something.
Yeah, you're out late. I remember one of like the first times I went out to a bar here in Los Angeles when I first moved, and it was like last call, 9 o'clock or something. I was like, what's happening? And I'm driving home at like 11 maybe, and like the roads are empty. I'm like, what is going on? Like I didn't get it.
I did. It's from Miami. I didn't get it at first either. That's awesome. Well, we're happy that you're here. So I've got a burning question that I'm just wondering about is just that I love origin stories. I love
Hmm.
them. I think origin stories are great. I'm a big Marvel guy. I want to see where like, the
Yeah.
mutants came from. And I wonder, why did you become a coach?
Mm. Um, I I struggled as an actor in New York.
Mm,
Like I went to NYU, I went to School of the Arts. I thought, hey, I'm going to be on Broadway by the time I'm 21, and life's going to be amazing. And I got out in the real world, and we weren't taught business, we weren't taught anything like that. And I was trying to do everything. I was trying to audition for soaps and musical theater and commercials and voiceover. Like I was trying to go, I have to do everything. And I got so burnt out, and all of my limiting beliefs started popping up after college, and realized that I had a huge uh, Achilles heel of I don't deserve to make money from my art. That was like my big thing. I came from a very lower middle class family, probably one of the only people in my family to go to college for something they loved. Like to go to college for acting was unheard of. And I got out
That's
of it.
big, by the way. I know everybody. Jody just tried to like fly through that one, but I just want you to go back before you keep going. And what I heard you say was, I didn't believe I should or could maybe make money from my artistry.
Yeah,
And this is a big one because a lot of actors believe that, and they believe they shouldn't be charged for their artistry as well. So this has
yeah,
been a big thing I've been talking about all season. I want to
yeah.
continue the origin story, but I really wanted to
Okay,
highlight
yeah.
that part. That's huge that you had
Oh,
that wherewithal in New York, or did you have that
oh,
here?
that was in New York. That was in New
Mm,
York because it started to make sense to me. It took me a while to understand because I would go in and I would audition for a commercial or an audition for a Broadway show, and my nerves would take over. Something would happen that would self sabotage me, right? Or I wouldn't be fully present in the room, something. And then I'd go audition for a non paying theater gig and I'd book it every time. And I was like,
mm,
what's happening? Like, I know that I'm talented. I know I have something. Something else is going on. So it took me a while to explore that. But also, I was, like I said, I was trying to do all these things and wasn't really breaking in. And so there was a point where I was like, there's something I don't know. And I decided to read every business book that I could. And every like mindset book, like everything, right? I spent like a couple years working on my mindset for money. And then I spent a good 6 months reading business books on like branding and marketing. And after those 6 months, I was like, okay, I understand these concepts. How do I apply it to me? And that's what I started doing. And so then I started creating these systems for myself and got new pictures and did all this stuff. And then cut to 6 months after that, I got my first agent. I finally got into Actors Equity. I had an off-Broadway show, first off-Broadway show contract. I was in a cast recording with Steven Schwartz for one of his new musicals. Like all this stuff started happening. So all my friends were like, what are you doing? Like, what's happening? Like, how'd that happen like that? It seemed like it happened like that. And so then after probably about the, 40-second free coffee date, I went, I think I have a skill set here. And that's how my coaching business first started. I only did one-on-one coaching. I think I charged $40 an hour, and I was like, let me just help some actors because most of us don't think in terms of business, right? We didn't become actors to run a business, became actors to be creative, to be on stage, to be in front of the camera, whatever it is. So sometimes turning on the left brain and having those business skills is just not where it's natural for people to be. But I really believe that business skills are completely learnable. You just have to be willing to learn them.
I think you are absolutely right in the sense of business. I think that we did not get into this industry to deal with the business stuff. But if we want to stay or have longevity in this industry, we must get a handle on all the business stuff.
Yeah, hands down. Hands
Yeah.
down.
On that one. So
a lot of actors resist that. They resist it and go, and that was me too for a long time in New York. I was like, no, I'll just be discovered for my talent, right? But it's just not how it works. It's how you have to allow people to see that talent. And that comes with branding and marketing and putting yourself out there and knowing how to network and all those other skills.
Yeah. So how do you recommend? I mean, because I have an idea and a way that I talk to, my tribe about it, but how do you recommend that people get into that business sense or that business pocket with that? How it's that?
I solely believe that actors are the most creative marketing people that I know because we're creative beings. So when I work with people or talk about it, I'm like, you're so full of creativity. This is what you do. And if you just took that and just put it in this other arena, that's all it is. Marketing is creative. It's creatively promoting the product, which is you. So how can you just bring your creativity, your POV, your essence to that? That's all it is. And I think people start to think, oh, marketing, it feels like this big slog, or sales feels icky, or, we start to create all these, we have all these connotations around things, right? But if we can just look at it as like, oh, I just have to creatively share myself. Okay, how can I do that, right? Then I think people are a little bit more open. But I really do believe actors are the most creative business people that I know.
I love that. You said that we have to figure out how to creatively share ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a big thing. But also I want to just like pinpoint that you were saying that if we look at other markets maybe, or look at other business things and how to apply it back to our business, like we can, it sounds like there's clues all around us, right? Or there's ways to do it all around us. Was that about what you were saying?
Yeah. I mean, that was my journey into it. Was like, how are these companies that are successful, but then how can I apply that to me, the living, breathing, sensitive human?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what my systems are that I've created for actors, are for that purpose. But even just to start being curious about what it takes to build a brand, what it takes to get known, what it takes to be seen in the world and have a name, like just being curious about that, and seeing how other people or businesses are doing that, I think is a great way to start.
I told some of my actors in my group, they were talking about like, I don't want to be that actor that like, sends this thing or contacts, casting or gets them on social media and all that stuff like that. I said, well, then if you don't want to be that actor, don't be that actor. Right. But you can be a business person. I never think to myself, you all, every year when my dentist sends me a postcard on my birthday, what are they after? What are they trying to get? Are they trying to get me to clean my teeth? I never think that way. I think to myself, when that postcard comes, I'm like, oh yeah, it's time for a cleaning, or, oh, that's so sweet. And then I throw the card away. So if we really are taking what you're saying, like I'm talking about, and apply that, send the tweet, send the, the tag or whatever it is. For the thread. Oh yeah, we're ready. Look at us, we're up on it. But send that and just understand, don't overthink it. Don't think they're gonna be like, I cannot believe Jodie threaded me. I cannot believe, right? I think that's what we think as actors.
I
we
know.
think we're going to be blackballed, or is that what it is?
Oh my God,
Blackballed,
I hear
blacklisted.
that all the time. Yeah, blackball, exactly. I hear that all the time. Oh my God, what if they don't like it? Or I'm like, what are you talking about? It's an email, it's a
Yeah.
text, it's a tweet, whatever. Yeah, people we get really caught up in it. Even, I just went to the Palm Springs Film Festival. I had a short film that was there that I was in as an actor. And I have all this follow up to do that I haven't done yet. And it's just very funny because I had to coach myself the other day because I was like, I was setting aside 2 hours to do all this follow up. And I was like, yeah, I have to create these relationships now. And then, something else would come in and I'd push it off and push it off. And finally, after 2 weeks of pushing it off, I was like, okay, Jodie, what's going on here? What are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm making it a big thing. I'm making it like I have to create this relationship with this filmmaker now. And it's like, no, I just need to send them an email.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just good. Just send an email. It's not a big deal. Just follow up, send them the DM on Instagram or follow them on Instagram. It's not a big deal, but we make it sometimes like, oh, but this could be a big thing for my career. And then we put all this pressure when it's just sending an email or tweeting.
Yeah. I think we have to get out of the idea of thinking that they're going to like casting or directors or anybody else we're networking with. I think we think that they're going to be sitting in a dark room with the lights like dim, and there's going to be like a little candlelit and some coffee, and they're going to be like, DeJuan's tweet, what does it mean? It's not, it's remember, this is the best thing about eWeekly or something like that. They're just like us, right? And think about how busy we are. We get those things like, oh, right, that's good. And we just keep moving, or we'll do something in our world. If we think about it that way, it's not so precious, I think you were saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We make it precious. And it's
Well,
funny. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say, well, I know you created a system, like a whole, branding, not branding, networking system, the actor's office. But before I get there, I want to get back to like your origin story. I'm not out of it yet. I'm not out of your origin story there.
Okay. Oh, right.
Because I know, right? We're really, we're having too much fun, y'all. We're having too much fun. I love it. I love your energy, Jodie.
Thank you.
So you got out here. It sounds like this is very typical of a lot of coaches. We get asked a lot to go to coffee or I've been on more coffee dates in that beginning part of, as I became, certified to be a coach, life coach. And I was just like, we got to start getting paid for this, so that part tracks, but you then, and correct me if I'm wrong, you then got off into branding. Like, I mean, that's how I know you as, one of the, leading experts in our industry for this, in that coaching space for branding. I hope I didn't scare you with that, but you are.
No, thank you. I receive.
Right.
Because that's really what helped me, was really defining who I was and what I wanted. Because at that point, when I first started off my career, I was like, well, I'll be whatever you want me to be, and I want to do whatever pays me. And that's never a great way to start anything, right? It's just vague. So that was when I started coaching, was really honing people in on just being more specific. And then that's when my whole branding systems happened. But yeah, now I've been coaching branding for over 13 years. And
I think we can say you're one of the leading people in this area, why not? Right. I think so. That's like one of the things. I think a lot of people teach branding. I have a branding thing inside of one of my things, but it's not what you do. Right. I mean, you do a whole thing on it, and I can sit here and be like, listen, Jodie does a great thing on branding. I'm just touching the iceberg with branding. Do you know what I mean?
Hey there, it's DeJuan. I've got something super exciting to share with you. This August, we're gathering here in Los Angeles for the Think Bigger Actors Retreat. It's a game-changing 3-day event designed to push our mindset, craft, and careers to the next level. I have been dreaming, I'm telling you, dreaming of this moment for so long. So let me tell you a little bit more about it. The main event will be here at the Garland Hotel in Los Angeles, where we'll have sessions with top industry experts, casting directors, reps, agents, managers, series regulars, and more. Trust me, this is going to be a turning point for your career. And you know me as the mindset guy, so expect some deep dives into the unshakable mindset you need for today's industry. So, space is limited. Space is limited because I want to keep it personal and impactful. So if you're interested, go to www.thinkbiggeractorsretreat.com. One more time, that's thinkbiggeractorsretreat.com. And let me tell you, tickets are already going fast.
Branding has, I think, and I don't know if this is your experience, so don't take it on if it's not. I always say that to my peeps, that branding feels like it's getting a little bit of a bad rap these days, right? It feels like right now people are like, you don't need to know your brand, you don't need to know your type, you don't need to know your thing. And you just got to be authentic. And I think that is coming from my perspective as an actor and a coach. I don't know if that's helpful. Right? I don't know if so. I mean, what's your thought on that? Let me not go down there.
It's not helpful. I get why people. Okay, how do I want to start this?
Sorry, y'all. I told you.
This is good. This is good. I think the people saying don't care about your brand, just show up and do good work. My question to you then is, how are you going to get in the room to do the good work? Mm-hmm. Right? You got to get known somehow, and if you're clear, the industry will be clear. If you are not clear, the industry won't be clear. So if you can be clear and specific on your brand, you can call it niche, you can call it whatever you want to call it. If the board
typecasting or whatever,
whatever,
type,
whatever type, call it whatever the freak you want to call it. Call it whatever. But you have to have clarity on what you do. Mm-hmm. And then that will open doors. That will get you in those doors. But of course, when you get in the door, you're not thinking about, well, I can't play this character because it's not in alignment with my branding. Of course, you're not thinking that. You're just doing the good work. But you got to get in the room first. You got to get that agent first. You got to get in there. And I've seen it countless times, how just doing that branding makes my clients more confident because they're owning who they are. And that just translates out in the world, you know, and I think people think branding is type and it's not. Branding is dimensional. Branding is holistic. Branding is authentic. So when people say, just show me you, they're actually saying, just show me your brand. A lot of times we don't know how to just show you me, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't know how. Like when I was in my 20s and you said, just show me you, I'm like, okay, still, what do you want me to be? Do you know what I mean? Like I'd still try to play the game and try to figure something out. But I think for me, branding is just a deep ownership of who you are, even your own origin story. Like all of our traumas make us who we are, right? They allow us to tell certain stories better than other people because we know them firsthand. You know, I grew up with a special needs sister. I know that story. I know what that home life feels like. Not everybody does. Right. So if there's a role like that, I'm going to be able to tell that story. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I know the story of what having cancer is like. I know that. I can tell that story. So it's also looking at like, I'll just say the good, bad, and the ugly, right? Whatever we want to categorize that as, and looking at all of that, because for me, branding is also what's beneath the surface. It's what we don't always show, but it's those stories that we can tell better than anybody else.
Y'all got to watch that one on YouTube. She got real passionate about this. It's something you can tell that you are well versed in and you care about. But I'm going to put your feet to the fire. You ready? Yeah. I'm going to put your feet to the fire here. And I'm going to ask you to go back and maybe give us a sentence about what is branding and what is type, because you just said those are not the same. And I want to, for our listeners, for my people out there, I want to make sure we delineate the two.
Great. Type are the roles you can play. So I can play doctor, lawyer, CEO. So can you, Dawan, right? We would be very different doctor, lawyer, CEOs, right? If anyone listening to this, you might go, oh, no, I play doctor, lawyer, CEOs. Great. That's your type. But branding is what kind of doctor, lawyer, CEO? What's beneath that? What's the essences of that? What's the essence, the nitty gritty, the three-dimensionality of that doctor, right? Yeah. Because my doctors are strong, they're powerful, they could be maybe a little icy and manipulative sometimes, because I get that because of my cheekbones, right? We need to know just even how our energy relays and how our face even is portrayed on camera, like what people read from that, like that. We need to take into consideration all of that, but then we also need to take into consideration this, again, I always call it the iceberg, right? Type is the tip of the iceberg. That's all we see in the ocean is the tip, right? The type. But the berg of the iceberg is the brand, and that's beneath the ocean. And that's what we need to bring out and allow people to see.
I love that. I've often told the story of, when we used to go into the rooms before self tapes, but I used to audition for a lot of urban or street
Yeah,
actors. I would be in the breakdown or the type, we'll call it, right? And
sure.
this is probably a perfect story for that. When I would go into these rooms, I would see people with like neck tattoos and stuff like that. And I'd be like, that's your person, not me. Like, that. But what I started to realize when I booked Prime Suspect
Mm.
was that they said, a rapper or somebody who is, I can't remember all the adjectives they put in there, but I started to understand my essence. I don't have to give what my stereotype in my mind thinks
Yeah,
that type is, but like, how do I fit into that is my branding. So I brought my branding to it, my smarts, my essence, I come off a little bit more educated. That's just the stuff that I bring to the
yeah.
table. And I started applying that to these breakdowns. That's how we
Hmm.
can put it in the way they were saying in
Yep.
the breakdowns. And I just started to bring that to it. And I started to book. That was a real big turning point for me. I had never booked. Well, I booked things of like what I thought street was, you know what I mean? And I
Sure.
was, but when I started to really understand, like, oh, you can be a smart drug dealer. You can be a something that like, what if you're the one who is the, kingpin of it all? And it just
Mhm.
started to make sense to me. And I think that is how I'm translating type and branding in my head from what you're saying.
Yes, yes. That's a great story. Because, yeah, type would be the thug, right? And we have our idea of what that is, right?
Mhm.
But then how are you bringing you to that role? What's your brand to tell that story? How are you
Yeah.
bringing you to that? And that's so important. And that's, I think that goes back to the thing of like, well, I'll just do what they want. What do they want? Well, we don't know what they want, number one. They're just throwing out these words, right, of whatever it is. But how are you telling that story? You
Mm.
know, I got an audition a while back, and it was for a recurring guest star on a Nickelodeon show. And I've been in for that office before. I've been in for that casting director before, and then I was like, okay, great. And my manager sent me the sides, and it was for Junkyard Judy was her name, and I was like, Junkyard Judy, and I was like, what? And I read it, and I was like, this isn't me. And I was like, I could picture every other actor that would play this part, right? And then I had to stop myself and go, okay, slow your roll. This casting director chose you to come in for this. They know you. Stop talking yourself out of something and just bring yourself to it. So, what's my way in? And I kept reading the script over and over, and I was like, what's my way in? What's my way in? And then I realized kind of what I said at the beginning. I love playing these myopic, obsessed characters, and that's who she was. And I was like, okay, I'm going to lean into that and figure out how to play this role. And I did. And it was so much fun. And I sent the tape to my manager, and my manager responded back. She's like, oh my God, we love that. Thank you for bringing you to it. I was like, great. So it's, I think a lot of times this is why branding gets a bad rap is I think people go, oh, but that's not my brand. My brand is polished and put together and elitist and blah, blah, blah. I don't play Junkyard Judy. That's not my brand. But again, we're looking at roles. I can play all kinds of roles. I could be Junkyard Judy. I could be a drug dealer. I could be a cop. I could be a narcissistic CEO. I could be all those different types of roles. But I'm going to bring my brand and different parts of my brand to each of those roles. And it's
This
really
is so good. This is so good.
okay.
It's
And
so
it's
good.
finding the through line, right? It's finding the through line. And that's why I teach a lot with my clients about really looking for your branding themes. I think everyone has about 5 to 7 themes that they just fit them like a glove. Or you can just say the stories that you tell, right? But I really have people have all these exercises to look for thematically, where does your brand live? And that's always your way in. And I can see it. I even if you look at the stuff on my reel or wherever, they're all different roles for different types, if you want to call it that. But there's a through line of who these women are. And
Mhm.
that's what I look for branding.
Yeah, I love that. I think the way you just broke down, type and branding was so critical. I just I know my brand. right? I know my type.
Yeah.
I play it, and one of the through lines, as you said, is I usually am, the honest Boy Scout, right? This I always bring a
Yeah. Yeah.
sincerity to it, or
Yeah.
something where you believe me, even if I am the villain, right? I might
Mhm.
be that person that you didn't assume that was going to be a killer or something like that
Yeah.
because of what I bring. Like, and when I was on Bosch, I was like the moral compass of that show, right? And that is something that I think that I bring, because in real life, what I bring is I always tried to present myself as the best little boy in Texas, right? Or the best. And so it's really interesting to hear you say that, because I've just never pulled it apart like that. You know what I mean? Or to find those things. I just know what I bring. There's a level of emotion that I bring to my roles, or emotional depth, I should say, and
Yeah.
sincerity and honesty. Like, you just trust me. And I think I know how to use that to my favor now, like
Yeah.
to get, on my side. And I could be the killer. Don't let me in. The Craigslist killer, y'all.
Right. I know. I love that. I
You
love that.
said this, and I want to make sure I highlight it.
Okay.
What's my way in?
Yeah.
What's my way in? And it was very interesting, because I think a lot of us get the appointment, and some of the first things we say that resonated with me was, this isn't me.
Yeah.
Why would they send me, Junkyard Judy or Stern Exec? Or why would they send me that instead of like, okay, let's get curious. What's my
Mhm.
way in?
Yeah.
Which I think is just, it's just a brilliant way. I mean, you're killing it with that one.
Oh, thank you.
It's
But
good. With
I think it's just so helpful because, like, I even had a client recently and helped her get a new agent. And so the agent was just submitting her for a bunch of stuff because, like, just I don't know where she's going to fit yet. We don't, like, spaghetti against the wall, right? So she was kind of getting a bunch of different. She's like, Jodie, I don't know if this agent is good because they're getting me an audition for, CEO or, whatever, homeless or something. Like, everything seemed opposite. And she's like, they're not getting my brand. And I was like, no, they're your salespeople. So in the meeting, you knew that they got you. You had the conversation. They get where you want to go. But now they're testing the waters. They're the salesperson. So you still, though, get to bring yourself to the homeless person or to the CEO wherever you go and find your way into that. But she's like, they don't get me. It's like, well, you have to realize they're just trying to make money too. They're trying to get you in and see what offices they can get you in. And you're just going to go into that casting office, but you're sure going to show them you. And they may go, oh, no, she isn't right for that. But man, I like what she did with it. That's interesting. Let me bring her in for something else.
Yeah.
So
It's good. That's really, 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 I love talking about this, and I do see why brand and type why people think they're synonymous,
yeah.
right? And I think it's important all the way down to, or I shouldn't say all the way down to, starting with your headshots, right? Like, I think that's one of the
Yeah.
things that, I just get about headshots right now. Before I was like, let me play the lawyer and all that. Now there's like a whole story with it. You know what I mean? That's
Oh,
like, this guy,
1,000%.
yeah. Or the Marvel, I want to be a superhero, but it's like, no, I want to be this guy's getting off the bike and he's had like, it's like a whole story that goes
Yeah.
on, and that's all branding,
Yes.
that I
Yes.
think happened. The story that plays there with that. One of the things I want to make sure I talk about, because I think it's so interesting. Like, I don't know if you're type A or not, but like, it seems like you like
What do you
systems.
think, Dawn? What do you
I
think?
think you like systems. You might have a
Yeah.
couple lists going, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And stuff like that. And, this automated software, like, where did this automated software, you're like, I see that you might think this is a weakness, but I'm going to turn this into a superpower, and I'm going to make an automated software. I don't want to like down it, but it's like how actors are building relationships now. Like, like
Yeah.
how to do that. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, like I've been teaching branding, marketing, goal setting, all this stuff for so many years. And, I even just told the story of me at Palm Springs. Like, always the follow-up was always my Achilles heel, right? Like, I would be good for a while and then I'd stop, or then I'd forget to follow up. And then I'm like, oh, it's been a little while. Then I got really good at it. When I was in New York, I was like postcards every 6 weeks because I could see it and it was physical. But then with emailing, I was forgetting to email back or reach back out to that person. So during the pandemic, I was like, you know what? I've had this idea rolling around in my head for a long time for a software, because spreadsheets don't cut it. Everything's just buried. It's hard to keep track. And I had an idea for a software, and I found a developer and we started building it during COVID. And yeah, it's called the Actor's Office. And it's all of my follow-up systems of how to follow up to someone, whether you're targeting them, whether you have just met them and you want to follow up, or whether you're maintaining that relationship. So it has 3 built-in follow-up systems in it. So it's all my coaching philosophy. But it's a software for actors to really track all of your contacts. And it literally reminds you what to do and when. So it'll tell you, hey, oh, you're just adding them in. Make sure to set a Google alert, add any notes, do this, do that. You're adding in all your social media. It's so pretty and it's so intuitive. It's been a game changer for so many actors. And a few months ago, we now released the auditions module. So that's part of the whole thing. So now we're doing all audition tracking. And when you put in an audition, it connects to the casting. So you could look at one of your contacts and see all of the appointments you've had with them, whether they were callbacks or pins, avails, bookings. It's really robust. My developer used to work, I think, at Swiss Bank, and he said to me the other day, he's like, that this is even more in depth than what I did at Swiss Bank. Because I'm like, no, I don't want there to be busy work, and I don't want to have to double entry anything, and I want it just to all work. He's like,
yeah,
okay.
I love that.
So we're fully launched, and marking it out in the world. But yeah, the Actor's Office.
It's so interesting because, I think, and, it's wonderful. I think we both do it. I do mindset coaching. You do mindset coaching. It has to probably be a lot of mindset coaching in that actor's office as well, because actors don't want to feel like they're bothering people. You know what I mean? When they're reaching back out to networking, are you getting a little bit of that? Let's dispel that crap.
Yeah. I mean, I do that in my coaching for sure.
Yeah.
Everybody feels like they're nagging, right? Like you were saying, I'm going to send this thing and be blacklisted, blackballed, whatever we said. Now I forgot. That's the big thing. I deal with that more in coaching. Yeah, the Actor's Office is a software, so that's the software. Yeah, but yeah, I do talk about that with actors. It's a huge thing, because so many of us started off healing, as we discussed, and also being people pleasers in that. Right. Yeah. So let me not rock the boat. Let me not say the wrong thing. Let me, so that's a big hurdle. And I find that a lot. I don't know if you do in my international clients too, especially like my Canadian clients, they don't want to ever rock the boat. So I think culturally you can see that in a lot of places as well.
I'm gonna just I'm not gonna ask for any commission on this, but I'm gonna pitch a little something for you here, and maybe it's already in the actor's office. It's like what to say when you follow up, like a little email about. Give them a little scripts and just be like,
I do have a PDF that I do give them of 9 DM messages with some 3 different reasons to reach out. So I do have.
All right. I'm just saying you can take it. I'm not asking for a commission on that one.
I love it. But it's true. It's true. Sometimes it's so hard to go, well, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
That's good. I think this is going to be a game changer. I think a lot of actors need a system like this because, like you said, we get into that space of, well, you know what? It's already been a month. They probably don't remember me. So, I really am big on coaching. There is no time limit on a thank you. Yep. There is no time limit on just connecting and making the problem the solution. Hey, I haven't talked. I've been a month that's gone by. It's been 6 months that's gone by, and then getting into that and using this beautiful software you have here. So,
oh, I agree with you 1,000% on that. I get that question. It's been 3 months. Should I do it? Yes. The answer is always yes.
It is always yes. We should switch that to how should I do it?
Yes.
Right. You got the information now and it's how should I do it for there. So, listen, I'm going to be honest, everybody. Jodie has offered me a test run of this and I can't wait to test run it and take a little look at that. And we'll try to link some of the stuff down at the bottom of this podcast. So if you want to, try it out, you can try it out as well. Right. I mean, if you don't mind me asking, to link it or let everybody know.
Oh God, of course. Yeah. I think we were talking about that. If you want to share it with your people, they can give you 3 months free to test it out.
What? So. It's super awesome. Super awesome. There. Jodie, I think you're killing it. I think you're killing it out there. And it's so funny because some of your awesome pictures out there, I'm thinking about you in a blue shirt, right? A blue blouse. Like it looks serious, but you're so fun. You're so fun.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
it's just such a fun conversation with you. So come back and talk to us anytime.
Oh, please. I will run there. Yes.
Thank
Thank you for having me, really.
you, Jodie. Jodie, so good, so freaking good. Oh my God, how are you going to get into the room if you don't do authentic work? That was so good. That was so good. If you're clear, then the industry is going to be clear. Come on, Jodie. You knew you were dropping mad gems when you were talking about that. So freaking good. Look. If you're listening to this podcast, if you know me like you know me, like you know me, you know I'm going to keep it 100, especially on here. Why? Because I believe in you so big. I believe in myself so big. So automatically, I believe in you so big. And I want you to know that figuring out who you are and your brand is important. As Jodie said, brand is holistic. It's authentic, a deep ownership of who you are, what's beneath the surface. It's different than type, the roles that you play, like the doctor, the lawyer, the CEO, all of that stuff. I think this makes actors a little confused, because most of us already don't know how the industry sees us. I hear that so much when people come and talk to me. Like, what do you see me as? What do you think I should play? Sure, you most definitely can break those molds of those, the doctor, CEO, all that stuff, that type. I always go back to Halle Berry, who played Babs or played a crackhead in Jungle Fever. Totally different from the types of roles she plays right now, but her brand is on. Or I talk about when I played the drug dealer or the rapper, that was a type of role. I had to make them my own, infuse my own essence in it with my brand, smart, educated, a little white collar. I brought that to the roles, each one of them, in Prime Suspect, right? Or even when I did Lincoln Heights, I had to bring my essence, my brand to that, what I think of those. And nobody else is going to think that. Nobody else is going to see it just the way that I do. That's what I know for sure. That's what I brought to it. That's my brand. So take some time. Take some time to deep dive into this. Whether it's with Jodie or in a program with me, do it. Understanding you, what you bring to a role. Because understanding me, what I bring to a role has made all the difference. It really has freed me up in my acting. To be completely honest, to understand that my acting is so unique, that what I bring is so unique, has totally freed me up. There might be someone who looks extremely similar to me, but because we have different brands, different underneath stuff going on, we can get cast in very different roles. And when we are making 24 to 48 hour decisions with our auditions, the time we get with our auditions in television and film, it's important to already have this part figured out. Stop listening to the people not going in the direction that you want to be going in, or at least have major discernment with their words. It's easy. It's so easy for a coach, a teacher, a casting director, a rep who has not had to audition or turn around an audition in 12 hours tell you don't need branding. I think you do. But what do you think? When are you going to start making these decisions for yourself? What do you want to do? I'm just a guy on the other side of a podcast, an actor who's had some success that wants to share that with you. We are literally doing these auditions in 12 hours. Yes, we have script analysis. Everybody has script analysis. Yes, we know about tone. Yes, we know about check out who wrote the director, who is the writer and all stuff. Yes, everybody has that. What is the piece that makes you different? Everybody's looking for the thing that makes you pop. Everybody's looking for the thing that makes you stand out. What's going to make casting directors really want? It's you. It's you. What's it going to take for you to believe that? What's it going to take for you to believe that it is you that is the difference? And then be brave enough to let that part come out and play. What's it going to take? You know I love hearing from you. You know I love hearing from you. Make sure you reach out. And I just want to say, just like I ended always, remember, don't quit. Don't get out of line. Borrow my faith in you. Borrow my faith in you because I'm rooting for you so hard. I'm over here in my little chair in my little corner of the world, and I am rooting for you so hard. So make sure you hold the vision, not the circumstances, in your career, in your life, in your dreams, because your vision is bigger than just this moment. I love you so big. I love you so big. I'll see you next week. I'll see you soon. Talk soon.